We will look at the 2023 exam paper where we're going to learn training and development and the different training designs and assessment needs. So the um, question reads, Mr. Mrwanda worked for Zamco for many years as human resource manager. When the Zambia government decided to sell the mines in the 1990s, Mr. Maliswa had not reached the age limit of 55. He decided to become a training consultant. He marketed his services throughout Zambia. Many NGOs were interested in his services, others were interested in the training activities. Others who were interested in the training activities were new owners of the mines and other private companies. He wanted to see more government ministries and departments get interested in his work. The past phase, he has been had interest in to train. Okay, the last phase of Mr. Malis was interest to train were the SMEs. Question: illustrate the training and development process. Analyze the training design process. Compare and contrast advantages of carrying out training needs assessment before conducting a training. Then assess the importance of evaluation and training. So we're taken to a topic of training and development. So what is training and development? What is the importance of training and development? Before we answer this question, we'll perhaps just go through a few important notes in that regard. So when you're talking about training and development, basically we are looking at the process, a systematic process which is aimed at improving employee performance, skills, and knowledge to enhance productivity for achieving organizational goals. So training is a continuous process that helps to align individuals with organization's goal or culture. So training and development process is divided into 5 key phases. So the first phase we can talk about is the needs assessment. Then we go to designing a training program. We go to implementing delivery training, evaluation, and also a follow-up and continuous training. So the first step being needs assessment, what is involved here is as follows. Firstly, you are going to undertake this foundational step of needs assessment. So it involves you exploring to determine whether training is necessary at all and what kind of training is actually needed. So here in this phase, you're going to bridge the gap between the current performance and the desired competence. So the purpose of our needs assessment is to identify the skills, the knowledge, and behavior gaps that employees may have. So it's often said that no matter how qualified you are, whichever institution you work for, you will definitely need to be trained. So training is important in that the methods that are used in the training will include job analysis, performance appraisal. You use surveys and questionnaires to gather information or feedback from employees on the challenges that they are finding and the interests that they need to be trained on. So you also undertake observation where you monitor the operation to detect the skill and the knowledge deficiencies. You also, in the needs assessment, undertake interviews or focus groups where you speak to employees and managers to obtain qualitative insights. Okay, so this is the first step where you undertake what is called a needs assessment. All right, the second step that we have is designing a training program. So in designing a training program, what is involved is you getting to design a training program tailored to address those needs. So in this phase, need to be very careful with the content, the methodologies, and the materials. So the objectives here are that when you develop a training program, you want to clarify the goals. You need to focus on the training content. You need to measure the success. For instance, you need, by the end of the schedule, by the end of the training, participants should be able to operate maybe in a new accounting software that has been brought with 90% accuracy. So designing the training program will also involve you selecting the training methods. Of course, this will vary based on the nature and content of the learner profile. So it can be done through lectures, through case studies, through job on training, through monitoring and coaching. So designing a training program is the second step that is important, where you're going to develop these instructional materials. I'm sure most of you have undergone um, training programs at your workplaces just to get familiar with certain softwares. There's inclusivity there, where you design various learning styles, where you put people in groups to understand. The third step that we must know, what did I say was the third step?
Implementing the training.
Yes, implementing the training. So our third step is implementation. So what is involved in implementation? So under implementation, we look at executing the training activities. We look at the trainers to deliver the content through selected methods. It involves you having practical engagement and participation, hands-on learning. These may be conducted on the job or off the job. So this stage is a very critical stage where you're now implementing. So during the implementation, it's actually called the action phase. So here, you're going to train or deliver the training to the participants. So the effectiveness of the training will depend on the quality of the trainers, on the preparedness of the materials, and the level of participant engagement. So we have trainers and facilitators. So I do part-time training for different institutions that come, especially students that I have taught. So in case you have training needs, this is an opportunity. So you also have the other things that will affect the delivery is also the environment, the training environment. So it should be comfortable, distraction-free, must be conducive for learning. The other factors would be the delivery modes, whether you're doing a face-to-face, whether you're doing a virtual training, whether you're doing a blended learning, which combines both online and in person. We have Dr. Walubita, who does Forex trading. He does both face-to-face and online, where people are trained on how to make money. So these training modes are dependent. The implementation success is dependent on those factors. The next step is what? Evaluation. So here you are going to measure the effectiveness of the program and determine if the learning objectives have been met. So you use different models. You get feedback from the trainees whether they are actually improving based on the programs that have been done. So the evaluation stage is very important. It's very critical because this is one of the stages that is usually underutilized in the training process. Most of, if you notice, you who are involved in trainings, after the training is done, most of them will just bank it as knowledge. So it involves systematically assessing how effective, what has been the impact of the training. So it involves goal evaluation. So you need to determine the objectives. Have they been achieved? You need to measure the employee's knowledge and behavior. You need to assess the return on investment of the training. So some of the institutions even examine them. This is what we call the Kirkpatrick's 4-level evaluation model. So it includes 4 aspects: reaction, learning, behavior, and results. So in the reaction, we want to see how participants feel about the training. Are they satisfied? The learning, what did they actually learn? You can use quizzes or tests. And the behavior, are they applying this at their job? You see on their performance reviews. And the result, has the training contributed basically to the business? Has it increased their productivity? Has it decreased or reduced their errors? All right. And feedback also can come post-training assessments where you have focus groups or follow-up interviews, and also continuous improvements where you are going to see and receive accountability. Okay, then we have the phase that includes a follow-up. So this will ensure that transfer of learning on the job has been done. It encourages a long life training impact and mentorship. Okay, so in this stage of the follow-up and continuous learning, it's actually the final phase, which emphasizes reinforcement and long-term development. So it ensures that the skills and the knowledge that are acquired during the training are retained effectively. So it includes transfer of learning. So here, supervisors and managers will play a very critical role in reinforcing the behavior. So they provide opportunities for employees to have practices and apply them at their workplaces. Okay. There's also continuous learning culture where you encourage ongoing self-development. Any questions so far? Is it clear? Right, so it also involves continuous learning
It's
culture
clear.
where they will encourage self-development through the e-learning seminars, reading, and also they will establish learning paths and career development. So there are support mechanisms that are used in the follow-up and continuous learning process, which include mentorship programs, where they help in skills application. So those of you who've done Dr. Olubita's trainings, they have mentorship programs, they have personalized coaches, okay? There are refresher trainings where people will be retrained over time. So this is one of the steps. So let's go through what are the steps, the 5 steps. Step 1, what did they say as step 1?
Needs assessment.
Needs assessment. Step 2,
Designing the training program.
design the training program. Step 3, implementing or delivering the training. Then evaluation and feedback or follow-up. All right. So these are the steps that are involved in the training program. They're very important to know. Okay, so we would also be quick to now wanting to know we'd also be quick to wanting to know the training needs assessment, TNA. What is it and what are the advantages? Have we heard what a TNA is, training needs assessment? What is training needs assessment? So when talking about training needs assessment,
Training needs assessment.
What is a training needs assessment?
This is the process or an approach of identifying the training gaps which are desired by the institution, the performance gaps in an individual or the skills gaps.
Okay, great. Yes, it's a systematic process which is used to identify the training gaps in the individual employees in terms of their skills, their abilities, and what hinders optimal performance. So it serves as a foundation for developing what? The relevant training programs by answering 3 important questions. What is the training need? Who needs the training? And how will this training be delivered? So TNA is very important because strategically it is there to align individual knowledge to organizational goals. So the TNA is very important. Now, how many types of training needs do we know? What are the types of training needs that we know? So we have what is called the so it can be conducted at different levels. It can be conducted at individual level, at operational level, at organizational level. So at individual level, you want to assess the gaps that specific individuals uh, may have based on their performance reviews. Task operational level, it wants to identify the skills or knowledge required to perform specific functions. Organizational, it focuses on aligning training with strategic objectives. Okay, so we have advantages and of having a TNA before conducting the actual training. So the first one is that it helps to improve relevance. Secondly, it enhances efficiency. Thirdly, it increases trainee engagement, and it also provides a baseline for evaluation. So in terms of relevance, this is one of the biggest strengths that TNA has because of its ability to make what training directly applicable to job functions. So to ensure that training will address the actual skill gaps that are there, not perceived ones, but the actual. So it will actually customize the content to reflect a specific organization, the challenges they're facing. And TNA will also enhance credibility of the training intervention in the eyes of both management and employees. So, for instance, if you introduce a new software at your organization, um, now the government is going digital. So this training needs becoming more than relevant for people to be accustomed to computer. It also enhances efficiency. So it will help organizations prioritize training efforts to manage resources. So some of the trainings, if you would like put blanket trainings because they may not be relevant, especially in government, they're costly. So it will reduce what? The cost to eliminate unnecessary programs. It will focus only on the crucial competence that will influence performance rather than just training all staff. You just put customer service because it's particularly there. It also increases trainee engagement because when you're training should be perceived as a useful job-related activity or venture. So employees here will be more likely to participate actively to retain what they learn and to reduce resistance when these training needs are brought and there's some issue of change, they'll embrace it. And they also provide the baseline for evaluation because TNA will allow organizations to measure effectiveness by training and comparing. So before training and after training, how was it? So it looks at the behavioral changes. So training may also have disadvantages. Not training has disadvantages. So the disadvantages of not conducting what? A TNA. So what are some of the disadvantages? Number one, failing to conduct a TNA may lead to some of the setbacks. Number one, irrelevant or misaligned training. You may find that without a TNA, you will have training that will be generic and will fail to address the core issues. It may also result in low participation where some of the employees will just say, I already know that, it's a waste of time, Also, it may miss organizational goals where they may not support the priorities that the organization may have. And lastly, but not the least, may be wasteful. There'll be no or little return. That's what we may end up having. And are we together? So what we can say in a nutshell is that a TNA is not luxurious. It's a critical way of doing things. You align training with the actual job. Okay. So now let's go back to our exam question to actualize and analyze. So now we are asked that Mr. Maliswana, who worked for Zimpo for many years as HR manager, when Zambia decided to sell the mines, he had not reached his retirement. So he decided to become a consultant. And pregnant with his services, he, he conducted services with NGOs. So people were interested in the training of new miners, okay? So he wanted to see more ministries and government get interested in the work. The last phase that was interested in is training SMEs. So question number 1, illustrate the training and development process. It's 15 marks. What is a training development process? And analyze the training design process and compare the advantages and disadvantages and assess the importance of evaluation. So how do we answer this? We're looking at this case study. Particularly, we want to answer just these questions here. So quickly, part 1, how would we answer?
For part 1,
mm,
first we need to explain what the training and development process is, which is basically a process aimed at improving employee performance, skills, and knowledge
exactly.
to enhance the productivity and achieve organizational goals. Then we need to look at the training and development process, which involves number 1, conducting a training needs assessment. Number 2, designing the training program. Number 3, implementing or delivery of the training. Number 4, evaluation. And number 5, follow-ups.
Follow-ups.
That's how I would answer number A.
That's correct, precisely. So let's analyze now the training process. Okay, so the training process is a systematic approach which outlines how the training should be planned. And the main aim is basically to meet the learner's objectives. So the training process includes 5 key areas. So the first area is that of defining the training objectives. So what are the training objectives? Training objectives are number 1, you need to tailor them. So we need to define the training objectives. So be clear, they should be measurable and aligned to performance. Number 2, we need to select the training content. So what content will fill in the gap? Number 3, you need to choose the materials. What material? Could it be through lectures, case studies, or role playing? Number 4, you need to develop materials and resources. Okay, these resources should be tailored to the organization. Number 5, you need to do what? To schedule and conduct a pilot test, which we call a pre-test. So we need to develop what? Materials and resources or handouts or visual aid. Then you schedule and set up the training timelines and logistics in the venue. Then you pre-test. The pilot will be conducted to see the effectiveness of it. All right. Then compare and contrast the advantages of carrying out training needs before undertaking the actual training. What are the advantages of conducting the training needs?
The advantages. It helps you to come up with relevant trainings.
Okay, so relevance.
Yes. It also helps you to engage the trainees.
Okay.
It also provides a baseline for evaluation.
In terms of motivation, employees will see it as valuable and practical. Okay, the efficiency, you use resources effectively. So Mr. Mulasiwa will design this project to save time, and also since he wants to train SMEs, will be motivated because they will apply this enthusiastically in there. So the disadvantages of not conducting these trainings would be as follows. What would be the disadvantages of not conducting a TNA? So there'll be misalignment with real problems. They will lose interest, wasteful resources, and no clear benchmark of results. Okay. So lastly, but not the least, assess the importance of evaluation in training. What is the importance of evaluation in training? Evaluation in training, it's more or less the same. Why is evaluation important? Evaluation is important in many aspects. Number 1 is a tool that we use in measuring the outcomes, the learning outcomes. Okay, it is able to assess behavior as well. Behavioral change determines whether employees are applying what they learned. Evaluation is important because it's able to demonstrate to stakeholders, justify the budget and accountability. It also helps improve future training. So you're able to see the gaps that need modification. Then it's also important to identify gaps for continuous learning where more has to be done. So this is um, how we could answer our question regarding training and development. Any other concerns? Is it clear? So when you have a question on training and development, be sure to remember to tackle it. Okay, so we end here. Thank you for the time.